Hi, and welcome to Rise, Heal, and Grow. I'm Leah M. Hill. This show is a podcast production of Apollo Sunrise Center, which is a holistic wellness retreat center in Merrimack, Massachusetts, offering interactive experiences for learning, transformation, and growth. On this show, we shine the light on those who nurture wellness and inspire positive change. My guest today is a very special guest here at the BevCam studio. Liz DiFiore is the Community Engagement Manager here at BevCam.
Hi, Leah.
Hi, Liz. Oh, I'm so excited to have you here. Finally, I know we've been trying to get you here for a long time, but I'm glad you're here. Thank you. And I do want you to tell everybody all about BevCam and what it is and what they do and everything, but I do want to start a little bit with your own career first and your own path, because you came from a background in a woodworking company, and then you are an artist for children's books, illustrator, and then politics, and now community.
It's been a move.
Yes, this journey is so fascinating. I want to hear, maybe if you could just take us through a little quick run through of how you made it here.
So the Reader's Digest. So my degree is in graphic design and illustration with a minor in marketing.
Okay.
And I don't know how much you know about fine arts degrees, but they don't get you well-paying jobs after college.
Oh, okay, right. I could have guessed, but no, I wouldn't have known, but I could have guessed that, yes.
So shortly after I graduated and an unpaid internship in graphic design, I ended up working for my dad, actually, because that was the paying job that I could get at the time. And it was shortly after the big recession. And so his company, he owned a lumber distribution company in Buffalo, New York. And they were kind of bouncing back. And when everybody else was like cutting things, he wanted to invest in marketing. And so he was like, hey, Liz, you know the Facebooks. And I was like, sorta.
But that is a bold move to do that during a recession.
Yeah.
Wow, good for him.
He's a really cool guy, a really cool businessman. I learned a whole lot from him. And so I started by getting my dad's company on social media, working on his website, getting him like a newsletter. And then the really important bit to this story is that he wanted me to represent his company in their trade association. So he really was the first person to kind of force me into networking, because I'd never really done a lot of it before. And that choice actually really like set the tone for the rest of my career, because about 3 years after I started working for him, he decided to sell his company. I didn't want to inherit it, just to be clear. And so he was going to sell it in order to retire. I didn't want to keep working for a for-profit company, just not my vibe. And I was offered a position of like chapter coordination and community management for the National Trade Association for Architectural Woodworkers, which I was doing volunteer work at the time on behalf of my dad's company. So I got to work with them. And they were like, can you do this for us? And so I had the wonderful opportunity of getting to be chapter coordinator for 21 chapters across the U.S.
Oh my gosh.
And working on national events and all this stuff. And it was really cool. And I still hold that whole industry very in a special place in my heart. Love the people there. But shortly after getting married, my husband and I moved to the New England area, and it was one of those weird situations where like he had gotten a high-paying job in order for us to move to New England, and he kind of sat me down that summer and was like, this is the most financially stable we may ever be. If one of us wanted to try going solo, now would be the time.
Oh, what an opportunity.
You should try being an illustrator like you've always said you wanted to do. And I was like, that's terrifying.
Yes, it's terrifying, but how heartwarming to know that he supports your passion.
Later that
work.
year, I put in my notice and I said, I'm going to follow my dreams.
You're going to do it.
The next 5 years, I was a full-time freelance children's illustrator. I got to, during that time, I got to be president of that National Trade Association, the Graphic Artists Guild. Got really involved there, got involved in mentorship. And it wasn't until when we moved to Beverly in the middle of the pandemic shutdown, And as things were starting to open up in town, I realized I was pretty lonely, because freelancing can be a really isolating, even if you're doing a lot of networking, and especially through the pandemic, it can be a very isolating experience. And we'd moved to this town, I didn't know anybody, so I decided it was time for a tone shift in my career. And I still do a lot of illustration, just not as much professionally anymore. So it's still very much a part of my life, but I wanted a job that was going to really force me to become a part of the community I'd moved to. And it was really serendipitous that the BevCam job showed up, and it ended up being kind of a perfect fit. And so here I am.
Oh, I love that, because you're so aligned with this work. I mean, your energy, your vibrance, your personality, everything. Just I cannot picture you isolated at home all day long.
Which is crazy, because from 2014 to 2023, I was an entirely remote worker.
Wow,
even before being a freelancer, while I was working for the AWI, the Architectural Woodworking Institute, I was a wholly remote worker. So it wasn't the pandemic that had me as a person working from home. I had a real experience doing it, and you can do really effective networking and community building remotely. Have done, but it's very different. It's very different.
I would say so.
It's a different type of strategy and type of vibe. You just have to go into it knowing that it's going to be different than when you're doing it on a hyper local in-person level. So BevCam was actually a new experience for that particular skill set. Since all of the community building I'd been doing was remote.
Well, I can appreciate that, and thank you for mentioning that about the networking, because I always push myself to do in-person networking. I always felt like, the virtual is not as effective, or you can't. But what you're saying is it's not true. You just need to approach it differently.
It requires a different approach, and it's not for everyone, and it's not for every situation. There is still obviously significant value in doing things in person. But it doesn't have to be the only way.
Okay. And I think, what I'm hearing is too, from this thread of, first of all, that you're the type of person that's all or nothing. When you do something, you go all in. I mean, you're
like,
I'll just, instead of just being a member, I'll just run the committee. You go all in with all of it. So, which is great, but that also goes to show how important that personal connection is that you're talking about. No matter what the industry is, doesn't matter. It's still that importance, because that will, carry you through and help you expand your career no matter where you are. So, and that's probably how you ended up leading these groups and these, taking this on.
That, and just not being able to say no. That's
But
that's true. I feel like a lot of people, especially the people who tend to come on here or watch this show, know what I'm talking about. You have a hard time saying no, don't you? I bet you do.
I think so too. So tell everybody what BevCam is, just so that we know. I mean, I know, but let's talk about what it is.
Let me give you my little spiel.
Okay.
Welcome to BevCam. We are Beverly's community access media station, and what that means is that we are an independent not-for-profit who focuses on a mission of tech accessibility and free speech and empowering local voices. So we have a contract with the city that has us covering broadcasting live and recorded school sports, government meetings, different community events, but we also have a membership program that has the mission of keeping media and audio, video and audio media accessible to everyone in Beverly and outside of Beverly. We primarily service Beverly. There are access stations in almost every town in Massachusetts, which is amazing. So people come here and they learn how to tell their own story, and we broadcast it for them and try and empower people to bootstrap their audience, to give them access to technology that most people can't afford, and help teach them how to use technology that maybe they never thought that they could learn how to use. And that is what BevCam is.
That's a good summary, thank you. And I know that you offer a lot of like classes and workshops that teach people how to use the equipment, how to do the editing. And for someone like me, I mean, it really just opened this whole world for me, because like you mentioned, first of all, even if I had the money to buy all the equipment, I wouldn't want it in my home. You know, I wouldn't want to be doing it virtually.
And not everyone has the space for it.
Right. I don't have the space and the background, all that stuff, and the lighting and all of that. But I also love that BevCam's intention with this particular podcast studio was to make it look like you're in. I mean, we're right in downtown.
Yeah.
You know, we're in the community. Behind us is a curtain, but behind that is, you know, the street. We have traffic going by, people walking by, and it's like you really are in the community and feel like it. So I appreciated that so much, that BevCam offers an opportunity for people like me to say, you know what, I've got so many people I want to interview and hear their stories and learn about what they do, and this is such a great platform to do it.
Yeah, and the whole mission really spoke to me too, which was a big reason why, like, I didn't grow up with community media. They don't have it where I'm from. It's not that they don't have it, but it's like it doesn't exist in Western New York like it does here. And so coming here, like, I didn't know what it was, and it wasn't until we moved to Beverly during the pandemic shutdown. I didn't know anything about the town, and what do you know? BevCam has the government meetings live streaming on YouTube so that people can keep up with the regulation changes and what's happening and all this stuff. And it really was like life-changing for somebody who like didn't otherwise have access to that information.
Right, that's fascinating. I didn't realize that it really isn't everywhere.
There's like the potential for it everywhere because it's funded through a federal law, but not every municipality, not every state handles it the same.
Sure.
And Massachusetts really is unique in how nearly every municipality has community access presence in one way or another.
Yeah, it's really great. It's so wonderful to have all of these opportunities here, not just for the podcast studio, but TV as well. TV station as well. So that's great. And did you have a goal to meet everyone in town? Is that right?
I had a goal to become friends with everyone in town.
Not only meet everyone, but become friends.
Leah, okay. I need to like just clarify how insane.
I want to hear about this.
Do you have a goal to meet everyone? That seems slightly unreasonable. Do you have a goal to be friends with everyone? Wow, that's how in the world do you? But you know what? Hey, my goal was to become friends with everyone in town, and if I could get paid doing it, even better.
Oh my gosh, I know.
That was basically my cover letter at the time to BevCam. My parents have always been the kind of people who like are really ingratiated in their community. My grandparents were like that too. I grew up where you were like a regular at like the local breakfast place, and like, you know, all of your teachers knew who you were because of because they had taught your parents or whatever. Your grandfather delivered them. You know, like that sort of thing is what I grew up with, and so like I knew wherever I set down roots, I wanted to be like a regular. I wanted to be like, I wanted to have my spots. I wanted to know everybody as I was walking down the street. And Beverly is like 3 or 4 times the population size of my hometown, but it doesn't feel that way because it's got a small town feel.
Yes, I agree.
I picked up on those vibes, and so that was one of the reasons we moved here, is because it felt like the kind of place that you could get to know everybody, and you could have that kind of tight-knit community, even if you don't get to become friends with everyone. Right? It was a little hyperbole in there, but
the key too, even for someone who is a transplant like you, you know, some towns you would never feel that way because you weren't born or you didn't grow up in the town. You know what I'm saying? But for someone like you who moved here, and I also moved from other towns too to Beverly, and I don't think of it that way. I don't feel like there's this old town feel and like I'm not a part of it.
I don't know how they did it, but they've built quite a community feeling, even if you're new. And it was just that desire is what it was.
That's fantastic. So talk to us about this philosophy of courage coming before confidence, especially when you are talking about making these personal connections and building your career based on relationships, building relationships and getting to know people.
I've done a lot of mentorship. through my career. I've been fortunate enough to do a lot of mentorship.
Oh, great.
One of the reasons for that is because, like, when I started as an artist, I really didn't know anything about being a professional. I was lucky enough to have some incredible mentors in my life, and I've learned that there's a lot about gaining the skills to be a successful professional that isn't taught and is not a natural thing. Like, they're learned skills. Networking, knowing how to present yourself with contracts and negotiating and all of that. None of that is like something you're born with. It's a learned skill.
That's helpful to know.
You don't get confidence before you've done it a bunch.
Okay.
So what you need is just the courage. And so that whole, like, courage before confidence, like, you're going to be scared. You're going to be anxious and nervous going into something. And I've learned that it's you kind of have to live with that and be willing to push through it. You have to jump in head first. You just have to, because there's no other way to learn but by doing it.
Yeah, and that's so encouraging, because I think for, the times in my life where I felt like I didn't have the courage, like because I felt like I didn't know what I was doing, I didn't have the experience, I didn't have the courage to just get out there and do it. But what I did have is willingness.
Yes.
I was just willing to give it a try. And I think that goes a long way, because,
it does.
Like you said, so many people, I think, believe that it's really, like you're born with it. You're charismatic, so it's easy for you or something.
Yeah.
Or they meet someone like you who's so gregarious and outgoing, and they're like, oh, it's easy for Liz, but they don't know.
And admittedly, being an extrovert helps.
Yeah.
But I've met some incredible networkers who are introverts. The amount of times somebody has told me that they're not capable of being a good networker because they're bad at remembering names.
Oh yeah.
I am so bad at remembering names.
Networking
is my whole job. And I mess up on names of people that I've known for ages, or done lots of connections with, or I should know them, but so many times I have a really hard time with names and dates and various different details, and so I think that's one of the reasons why it definitely feels like you have to be willing to fail, and you have to be willing to be embarrassed, and be a little cringe, and be a little uncomfortable.
We don't always like that,
because sometimes that's kind of the only way to get better at it.
It really is. Yeah, just by doing it, like you said. And I love how you talked about being a mentor. So are you also a mentor to other artists? Okay, so you help them learn to negotiate contracts and...
yeah, it depends on the person.
And
but I've done mentorship with students as well as adults. And because people enter... The arts industry is great because people enter at all different levels, all different skill levels and ages and parts of it, areas of their timing of their career, and so you can get somebody who maybe doesn't know how to negotiate a price on something, and they're not a college student. They're coming into it because they've had a whole career in, I don't know, accounting or something, and now they've decided to follow their dream to become an artist,
and they make that turn.
That's actually really common. So it really doesn't that aspect doesn't really affect whether or not you can be successful, right? But it doesn't mean that you come into it necessarily with more skills doing that specific thing, right? And so everybody needs help. And as I said, I was really lucky to get a couple of really good mentors. But sometimes it can be how to do contracts, how to do pricing. The Graphic Artist Guild is an incredible resource. So anybody who's a professional artist out there, highly recommend.
Artist Guild.
The Graphic Artist Guild, Guild. Going to give them a shout out.
All right.
To learn all of the professional side of being a creative. And demystifying copyright language. It was something I never thought I would ever want to spend time on, and now I'm such a copyright nerd now.
Oh, well,
it's like a special interest passion project now.
Because it's so difficult, I'm sure, for people who are trying to, I mean, even if they're not trying to become this famous artist or something, just to try to get their work out into the world confidently without feeling like they're...
And knowing their value, knowing their worth. Like, that's a big part of it, is just knowing your value and taking confidence in that.
Right.
It's one of my favorite things to see somebody like negotiating a price that's like that's worth their artwork and what they put into it, and knowing that they're not like underselling themselves. It's one of my favorite things to hear about, is when somebody's like really excited that they asked for more than they were comfortable with, and they got it. And it's like, yes, because that lifts everyone else up when somebody is able to not undersell themselves due to confidence or whatever it is.
Right.
When they're able to do that, it lifts the whole industry up, and it makes it a better place for everybody in the industry. And it's just always really great to see that.
Right, because, putting a value on something like artwork is so difficult to do, but you help people navigating that process.
I think it's less difficult than people think.
Oh, okay.
And it's just not something that a lot of people know how to do. Mm-hmm. So, like anything, it's a learned skill. The information is out there, but a lot of people just don't know where to look or how to start.
Yeah.
That certainly was me.
Right. Well, I can imagine. Yeah. And for people who want to do something like self-publishing, to get their book out there or their illustrations out there in a book, you also help people with that, navigate that process?
Yeah, that was my bread and butter for like 5 years.
That is a big process.
It is.
To go through that. Wow.
A lot of things people don't know about picture books is A, the illustration is possibly the most expensive aspect of it, and B, it takes a minimum of 6 months to produce a children's book, just from the illustration standpoint.
See, I would not have guessed that.
So you get a lot of people like in October being like, "Can we get it for Christmas?" And it's like, how about July?
So you kind of need to have a little reality check. Okay, I gotcha. A little reality check. I get that. So, and that's whether or not the person's writing and doing the illustrations, or just doing the illustrations and someone else is writing it?
So most of the time I was illustrating somebody else's written work.
Okay.
And so oftentimes, like, an author will choose to self-publish for a lot of different reasons. Mm-hmm. But the number one reason I found was that if they go the traditional publishing route, where like the publishing house like pays for the illustrator, they don't get to pick their illustrator. They get paired with an illustrator, like the art director picks it. And often the author actually relinquishes a lot of control over the creative process of the book. Once you get to the point where it getting picked up at all, which is also its own process. So that's a big misconception with a lot of like new authors, is that they'll be able to have a say in what the book will look like at the end through the traditional publishing route. And there are a lot of really valid reasons for the industry doing it this way. But if a author decides to self-publish, oftentimes it's because they want to have some creative control over it, and oftentimes that can be to the betterment of the book, and not always, but you might pick to self-publish because you want to get it out in the way that you have envisioned it.
Right, you want control.
In which case you're footing the bill for everything, right? The illustrations, the marketing,
the hard part.
All of it. It's a big decision, deciding to go the traditional route or the self-publishing route. But one of the common qualifying questions I used to ask clients when we would first meet is, have you decided you want to self-publish? Because if you haven't made that decision yet, if you have an illustrator attached, a traditional house might not consider your script. Or not script, manuscript. So I was always really clear with people, like, don't hire an illustrator until you know that this is the route you want to take.
Okay.
Because I don't want to be the reason that somebody's book doesn't get picked up.
But it's very helpful.
And also I'm expensive. So illustrators think they're 32 fully illustrated pages in a picture book, plus the cover, front and back cover. Okay. And so that's a lot of artwork.
That's a lot of time.
It's a lot of artwork.
Effort,
so you got to think like how much you might pay for one painting, and times that by a minimum of 32 at at the minimum. So
I have never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Because I was thinking, and probably like other people too, that, you can kind of recreate like, I'm thinking of like the old animation cells that they talked about, like the Bugs Bunny or something, or Mickey Mouse. And it was like, well, they're just, redrawing the same thing over and over. I didn't realize
that takes a lot of work,
it's
though.
a lot.
It's a lot of work, and also you're visually telling a story. And so there's
so it has to
way
flow.
more that goes into it than just making something pretty, right? And and then your experience should also tie into it. So there's a lot that goes into it, and I really respect the people who go down that path.
Oh, sure. My goodness.
They learn a whole lot, and
Yes.
they put a lot on the line to make their passion become a reality. And the people who see it through to the end is like, it's a really beautiful thing when somebody like follows their passion project to like that sort of conclusion. So
you get that fulfillment and that sense of like, I did it, yay, let's celebrate.
It's a significant amount of work, both for the author, the illustrator, for everybody. I
think anytime an artist is willing to put or have the courage, like we said, to put their work out in the world in any way is a huge accomplishment. Because there's so much, it takes so much to open yourself to the criticism, the critique, the judgment. And then if you're putting in a book that you can't like make edits, you can't change it back. Once it's out there, it's out there. It's not oh, well, nobody's going to see it. I mean, I think about the things I do for myself. I call it notebook therapy, my little notebooks. So, I use stickers and washi tape and art.
Oh, wonderful.
But I'm like, if I don't like it, nobody sees it, right? I just tear it out and throw it out, and I don't have to worry about it. But if I had to like say, okay, I got to make something that people will see and hopefully understand and appreciate, that's a big challenge.
I don't know that I guess my philosophy on it is that it's not that much different than any other job that you feel takes any amount of creative energy. I would liken it to the kinds of workshops and stuff that you put on, which is like you put in a whole lot of work in order to get those events running and the guests and then like your own presentation at those events. I think anytime you put yourself out there, whether it's in a sales position, in a more closed form business position, or putting your art out there, it's a lot of the same energy. Like you're putting a lot of effort and passion into something you care deeply about,
and
you want it to have a positive impact on the people who are experiencing it. And it's just taking a different form than drawings that I put on a page to words.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you for that analogy. Thank you for that. The way that you're explaining it really makes sense. Thank you. Because people like me that never call themselves artists wouldn't make that connection. We wouldn't think of it that way. And I love how your background and your artistic work kind of feeds into and influences the work that you do here at BevCam too.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that.
I mean, it's like a whole complete, energy output that you have that is complete. It's not like two halves of the same coin or trying to split your time.
I just want to see more people feel confident in sharing their own stories. It doesn't matter what form that takes, but the more stories out there, the better we are as a people. That's the personal opinion. The more stories, the more different stories are out there, the better we are as a collective people.
Yes, because we start to learn about other people, how other people live, how they're not so different from us like we thought they were, all of the different, aspects and the ways that we have all, kind of either grown into where we are now and from where we came from. I get that. That's a lot of why I did the show, because I wanted to know everybody's stories. Like, how did you get here? And that's what makes it so fascinaing. So, well, Liz, this was awesome. This was so great to have you on the show today. I'm so excited. So just maybe if you want to share with people either how they can connect with you if they are looking for information on the artwork that you do, or here at BevCam.
So you can find me here at BevCam. But if you email me, liz@bevcam.org, any questions, or maybe if you just want to grab a cup of coffee, that's fine too. But I would love to chat and see, what it is that you're passionate about. And Yeah, thank you so much for having me on, Leah.
Thank you, Liz. This was great. Thank you. And thank you so much for watching or listening here today on Rise, Heal, and Grow with Leah M. Hill. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe on whatever platform you're joining us on today. And please join us again soon because we have lots more episodes coming up.